at this time, I want to introduce Anna and Mike Pabst, and they're going to be presenting on Transformational Highlands and sharing your own success stories. So with that said, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you guys. Thank you for being here with us today, and I hope everybody enjoys.
Rah, 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 rah.
Is this Herbert the horse?
No. Okay, thank you, Adam. And thank Julie, number one, Julie, number two, and everybody for their work all week. It's been very interesting. When we first talked about this, I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to say thank you. We are where we are because 53 years ago, we decided to go to, more than that, 54 years ago, we decided to go to Highlands. We were the first ones in either family to graduate from college, and we wouldn't have gone to Highlands without scholarships. Anna had an academic scholarship, I had a music scholarship, and without that, we probably wouldn't have gone, and our life would have been different. The best thing I got out of Highlands University was my wife. If I wouldn't have gone to Highlands, I wouldn't have met her. What a different life it would have been. And that's part of the cowboy code I thought was so good, is choose your partner wisely. Ride for the brand, stay loyal to the ones that support you. So we wanted to say thank you because it really did change our lives. And Anna really got into it and she wrote a little speech. So we'll let her go first and then we'll go from there.
Well, I just want to say whenever I went to Highlands, I was really scared and afraid, hadn't been away from home hardly, and shy. And so it really helped me that I came from a family of 12. We had a farm up at Eagle Nest. My dad was born there, and I was the second oldest, and my sister was always telling me what to do. And she went to college after she graduated at a business school in Albuquerque. And my dad said, well, whenever she gets a job, then she's supposed to pay for your college. And of course, it didn't work that way. So I went ahead and applied for a loan and everything. And it was lucky enough to get a scholarship and a work study, and that really helped. And it was closer to Eagle Nest than anywhere else. I didn't want to be too far away so I could go home and help with chores and things. And then, let's see what else. I was taking education courses because I couldn't think of anything else I wanted to do. And I really liked to take care of kids. I babysitted a lot, and, you know, that's how I got my money to go and stuff. And then I met Mike one time in a church service. I mean, church dinner, we didn't have Sunday.
Free food Sunday night.
Right. And he really helped out a lot. And my roommate, Mary Ryder, helped out a lot too. And Anita Armijo, who lived there, helped us know the town better and whatever. And then he also taught me to go swim because I'd never learned to do that. And we had to pass the swimming class before we could graduate. And then he taught me tennis. And whenever I took the tennis course, because I minored in PE, I got to play the coach, and he gave us all A's because I beat him. And he broke a racket on my serves. It was so interesting. And then we were in band together because Ron Tillman, the band director, needed somebody to complete his pinwheels that he was marching. And he asked if I could hold a clarinet, and I said, yeah, I can hold it.
Just don't play it.
Yeah. So whenever this associate came and said, play this note, I said, what? And I didn't even have a reed in. He said, at least put a reed in there. Oh, well. And then we'd go on field trips around Las Vegas for geology and class and biology specimens for Dr. Shields. And my brother ran over a rabbit to stuff for a specimen for our elementary science. So that was interesting. And oh, well, what else? Oh, we went to Dr. M.I.'s chemistry classes at night. And not that we needed it, we were all A's anyway, but we had a friend in Las Vegas that needed to be walked home. In Las Vegas, yeah, so we'd walk her home. And then we would walk out to Story Lake. Mike was a good swimmer. He used to swim in California all the time in the oceans. And so he missed that and would go out there so he could swim across the lake. And what else? Okay, so then we had a special teacher, Dr. Eckwall, who taught reading, and he had a program that he had made for teaching beginning readers, diagnosing their reading things. And so when I went to UTEP, I got a master's there in reading with him, and it was really neat. He became a good friend. And then we taught a few years in Gallup and El Paso and then Dexter. And in Lake Arthur, I was the Title I reading specialist as well as math. And I've taught, even I wrote a program for my TI computer when that came out. And we coached basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, and cheerleading. And then I participated in the Senior Olympics. And whenever I was 50, my husband said, "Oh, you got to do that." So I came home with the most medals, probably 13 medals one time with anybody, because I do talent and do like belly dancing, and
Yes.
We did readings and other things and got a bunch of, and then there weren't that many women in my age group. So that really helped out. And I do all these events like race walking, long jumping, and then of course discus and shot, because I had a good arm with all my brothers and sisters picking them up all the time. and then on the farm, milking and all that. And then this last time I tried the hammer. So I've been trying different things, and he likes to do all kinds of different ones too each year. And then we did square dancing ever since we were little up at Eagle Nest, when we were snowed in, and we rope off one little section of the gym to do square dancing, went to the records. And his dad used to be a caller when I met him, and so we've done that. We went back to California for the 50th anniversary, and he had been there whenever he was like 3 years old. And what else?
Talk about the professor.
Oh, and then we decided to give back to Highlands. We put our little tile in the Olympic Park there. Yeah.
Alumni Tower.
The Alumni Tower, right.
Centennial Park. We learned that by trivia.
Right. And then we also have an educational scholarship for anybody that applies for it that's in the educational field or music or whatever. And we do that every year. And we work at All Saints Library now in Roswell a lot at the Catholic school. And we volunteer and do other work around there. He teaches science. And he also taught CPR classes to the staff at school. So we keep real busy and help him out. Okay. So all like, cross country and track and all that. Okay. His turn.
When I think of Highlands, I think of people. The first professor I really met was Dean Farmer. And it was nice to have her daughter on this week, his daughter. And then we used to have a class, freshman orientation. It was a 2-hour class to ensure that you succeeded at college. I remember the first day of class, he had to sit down and write the 10 Commandments. What are the odds of being able to get by with that now? But Dean Farmer was a dean. He volunteered to teach this freshman orientation. He wanted to get us off to a great start. But Dean Farmer, Professor Hill in the music department, Dr. Adams, the English department in the summer, of course, Dr. Amai, Dr. Shields, all these people, Grady Green, Ron Tillman in the music department. You knew them as individuals. You weren't in a class of 100 or 500. You knew them. And if you want to talk to them, you go back and talk to them, and they would help you. They would take the time. And that's what I think about Highlands University, is the people made the difference. It comes a time when we want to play it forward, and that's what we're trying to do with the scholarships and the service on the board. Without Highlands, I might have gone to Vietnam. We went right during the heart of the Vietnam War, and you had to stay in college and pass, or you were headed to Southeast Asia. Well, thank goodness, Highlands University, I was able to pass. Yay! I'm still here. And every time I go to Washington, D.C. and I touch the wall, I put my hand up there and say, thank you, Lord, for the last 50 years. Thank you that we did have a life. The day I graduated at Highlands, they announced that I made who's who in American university and colleges. I thought, wow, someone here believes in me. Within 10 years later, when I was teaching, I got a who's who in America elementary and high secondary schools. And so the dream was fulfilled. It was worthwhile for that. We ran in intramurals at Highlands. They had fraternity, intramurals and races. And then 20 years later, we did the Boston Marathon. We played in band, and I'm still playing in band. To this day, there's a community band in Roswell. So everything that we started at Highlands is still going. But probably the most important thing is a love for learning. The teachers made it so fascinating. And I would take extra classes just to learn. And that's still a lifelong habit with both of us. We love to learn. Like tuning in this week. We lived there for 4 years, and I never knew the true story of the hermit. And so this week I tuned into the geology professor's presentation on Hermit's Peak and the hermit there, and how fascinating, and answered so many questions. That's really thankful. And then today I tuned in to learn about Roswell UFO. I've never heard of it. We were born the year it came. That should explain a lot of things. But anyway, the scholarships help. We both worked. Anna started out with Mrs. Miller in the field service office, and she hired me to help Anna type. And then from there, I went to work in the cafeteria and the post office and the dorm as a dorm counselor. But it established a work ethic that if you wanted to go to college, you had to work for it. And then leadership. As a freshman, I was in the student senate. And that was just the beginning of many opportunities at Highlands in fraternities and Newman Club and Baptist Student Union and other activities where we got a chance to serve and found out this was useful. I went to a high school with a graduating class of almost 500 people, and I was nothing. And I came to Highlands, and they made me feel like somebody. They made me feel like somebody successful, that we could do this. And it's wonderful to see George's picture of giving a lecture on Gettysburg in New York with the Park Service, because what we learned, he had a degree in history, you put to use. We put our degrees to use for the last 55 years almost that we have done. So if you ever get a chance, play it forward for Highlands, play it forward for other students. Contribute to the scholarship funds, contribute your time to the Alumni Association, or go out and recruit students. Without students, Highlands would be nothing. It is the best kept secret. And if you could ever get people to the campus, I think they'd be captured. After growing up in Alamogordo in the desert in June, July, and August, if you go to Las Vegas in July, you won't want to leave. I mean, it's so beautiful. And to have Hermit's Peak so close, or Montezuma, or the Pecos Wilderness. We had an English professor that would lead backpacking trips during the summer from Highlands, and we went with him on a couple of those. And again, they were just so student orientated, wanting to do what was right for students. And then our band director became a lifelong friend. We corresponded. And so I had a chance to purchase some of the music he composed later for community band. We got some of the music Ron Tillman wrote, and he's still alive and still producing. And so what a lifelong gift that was been to know him personally and now to play his music. And then Highlands is so fortunate to have people like Adam and Julie and all the people I have seen this week. Each of the professors, even for a few minutes, are very impressive. And I like your president. After all the years of having Manny as president, or some of the past people in the past, it's very, very gratifying that Highlands is led by a very competent individual who believes in the school. And every time I hear him speak, I'm mesmerized. And I hated to miss him today. I was looking forward to him speaking. But anyway, Highlands transformed our life. It allows us to have a life and to have each other. And we want to say thank you. And at that, we'll open it up to questions, or let's hear the other stories from George. I'd like to hear George's story or Charlie's story who logged in. So So somebody else, Adam, tell us your story.
I'll go ahead and defer over to George first. I don't know if George, if you want to kind of tell us your story, and we'll go from there.
It's not going to be as impressive as, I'm terrible with names. Not impressive as Dennis's story and his wife, but first of all, I'm giving a talk on the Battle of Harlem Heights. What I met was that's our Gettysburg in Manhattan, and up in Harlem. I was working at Grant's Tomb at the time, and they're very proud of the Grant's Tomb. And one day, I was at Grant's Tomb, and I saw this young lady there. She says she's going to Columbia, and I just started talking to her. I go, "Where'd you go to? Where'd you come from?" She said, "Las Vegas, New Mexico." It's Dr. Olson's daughter, who taught me in history class at Highlands University. I don't know if anyone remembers Dr. Olson. So it's such a small world that we're in. And so, I basically worked for the sports teams as a student trainer, and I took history degree. So when I came back to New York, I applied for a job at Ellis Island. That opened my career, and I've been with the National Park Service for 30 years. Working mostly in New York, all the time in New York City. I was on a detail at Morristown, New Jersey, and one out in Gateway. So like I joke with our visitors, there are national parks in cities. The big national park here in New York City, of course, is the Statue of Liberty. That's our biggest national park. And one of the newest national park just came online a few years ago is called Stonewall. And I imagine, Dennis, you heard of Stonewall back in the 70s. They were a gay pride movement started, and we just took that over a few years ago. And there's another park we just took over called the African Burial Ground, where when they were building a government building, they came across graves of enslaved people, and they reinterred about 450 of them. So we have a very complex parks here in New York City. But it's true what Dennis says, without me going to Highlands, especially meeting a coach named Fred Blyle. And one of the first things he told me, we got to get you in state tuition. So make sure you register to vote. And he got me in. And coming all the way from New York, I learned a whole different culture. But I was amazed how many New Yorkers were there when I went there. So quite an amazing story. But I always joke with people. I have a history degree. I get paid to talk to people. So Highlands really did well for me. And I do contribute some money to the Farmer Fund.
Yes.
And I read up a little about him. Back in the 60s, he realized Highlands was so isolated that he was trying to get kids to go to Washington and other parts of the country after their career. So, and his daughter, I think, lives in Arizona. Am I correct?
Sierra Vista, Arizona, and she's been on this week. So
and she wrote me a letter thanking me.
Yes, yes.
And it's a great fund because kids who need money get to borrow from it.
Yes.
It's interesting fun.
I rang his doorbell and tried to borrow $25 to buy a car. And he said that wasn't the purpose. He's a wonderful person.
Thanks, George. I appreciate it, and appreciate you being here this week.
There's another person.
Hey, Shell, do you want to
Yes.
share your story with us?
And
Sure, yeah.
Miss Ledger.
Hi, Dennis. Hi, everyone. Nice.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Well, so here's my story. In 1997, I was exploring. I was in India, exploring to come to the US, looking at universities. I had no idea. No one in my family had ever traveled out of the country or traveled on a plane. We did not have access to internet. We only had internet cafes where you have to go and pay to be able to log in and you browse the web. But I did not even get an opportunity to do that. So I came across Highlands by fluke, by chance, truly by chance. So there was this test that we had to go through as international students. It's called TOEFL, which is a test of English as foreign language. And at the back of the book, there are a number of universities that are written in there saying that your scores would be sent to the universities that you would choose, and they would send the scores to 5 schools as a part of the application process. So I was going through the list. I remember where I was sitting that day, what time it was, and I went through the list like this. Let's try this. This was New Mexico Highlands University. The reason why I picked up because, well, no one had ever heard about New Mexico in India at that time where I grew up. No one had heard about New Mexico Highlands University or Albuquerque for that reason. And I thought it would be the right opportunity for me because one, I was low on funds. I did not want to go to a place where there were a lot of Indians because it gets very competitive when a lot of Indians get there because everybody else I thought was smarter than I am. So I wanted to go to a place where there was no competition.
Right.
Well, so Highlands it was, and I came in, and the first day when I landed in Albuquerque, I did not realize that I would straight away go into Las Vegas. I had to first land in Albuquerque and then either drive up to Vegas or take a train. I didn't have a car, so I took the train. And as we approached Las Vegas, we went through a 3-hour train ride, I think 3-4 hours train ride. And there was this gentleman sitting just opposite to me in the train. And when my station arrived, which is Las Vegas train station, he looked outside and he says, "Son, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but I wish you all the best."
There's a mental hospital up the road.
Yeah. But so I come into the town at 5 o'clock in the evening, cold January evening. And it was quiet because 5:30 everyone was tired, and it was quiet. No one was outside. So I was standing right outside the Kennedy Downs because that's where I was supposed to live. And there is this girl who comes in, tall girl. Apparently she's like a little sister to me and a really good friend. She comes in and says, "Hey, what are you doing here? Where are you going?" And I was confused. I didn't know where to go. But she pointed me to whatever, and someone came and helped me. This was Director of International Education. This was Lindy Martin at that time. I don't know how many of you have heard about her or know her, but this was long time ago, 1998, and she came in, and well, it was interesting. The next day I realized, or in the next couple of weeks, I realized that I was the only Indian student on campus. And
good competition.
So that was interesting. But that kind of opened so many doors for me. I came in with no friends. I ended up making friends who are like my family, even today. Because I wasn't surrounded by people, which is people from India, I was accepted really well and warmly by people here in Vegas. And I opened my heart and my arms and my mind to the cultures, really. So I got firsthand experience about the Hispanic culture, about the Native American culture, about just American culture. And that was awesome. And I look back and I say, you know what? I think it was a blessing in disguise that I took a decision, even by fluke. Yeah, amazing experiences, really. I graduated out of the School of Business, Senator Hall, very low on funds, grad student, international student. I picked up a resident assistantship in the second semester. So that sort of took care of the roof over my head. So I was in that first resident assistant room right there as soon as you enter the Kennedy Halls.
Right.
And yeah, right next to your office, Julie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I graduated in 2000. Yeah. 2000, went to Michigan, started working for a defense contractor. And what New Mexico Highlands taught me was that, hey, no matter what situation you go in, don't worry about if you are alone or not, just get in there and get things done. So I started working for supporting Department of Defense. Apparently, I recruited for DoD across the world. I sound a little bit different now, but I used to have a really, really heavy accent in those days. And I remember people would pick up my phone and just hang up saying that, who are you? We don't know who you are. But I was very successful, all because of the experiences that I've had at Highlands. I work for a company now where I run recruiting operations, and I'm the only guy, of my race or ethnicity on the management team. Everyone else is just white.
That's not so bad.
A wonderful story.
It's a great story.
Yeah. But no, I'm doing well. They love me. I love them, and it's a great experience. I'm venturing into a new assignment next year, where I don't think there are very many Indians again. But that's what I've seen. I look back at my career of 20 years and my experience at the Highlands, and I say that I reflect and see that it's only because of Highlands that I am who I am today. So
wonderful.
Yeah. I've made incredible friends. I've stayed in touch with people at Highlands all through 20 years. I was fortunate to connect with Julie, and very honored to be a part of this group. But no, I plan to stay connected, and I feel very, very lucky and honored. I mean, that's really in short about my story.
Wonderful.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeannie's on. Jeannie, want to share?
Hi, Dennis and Anna. Thanks for doing this. I guess when I think about Highlands, I think about home. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and there wasn't really any other university that I really wanted to go to. So I started at Highlands, and probably about halfway through my bachelor's program, I got this bright idea to transfer to New Mexico State. And so I went, and I was really nervous. I kept thinking, am I going to be up to par with these students? Are they going to, know that I'm behind? I just didn't kind of know how I was going to be received over there. And I got there, and I think I had a calculus class. And they started, and I kept thinking to myself, wow, I know more than half of these people. And I didn't think that I would. I thought that they would just be so much further ahead of me, but they didn't. And I realized at that point that I left a good thing behind, and I probably shouldn't have done that. But as soon as I was able to work on my master's, the first place I went back to was Highlands. It wasn't even a thought as to if I was going to go somewhere else. And while I was working on my master's, I actually did the whole program through the Rio Rancho campus. And at that point, I had a professor that not only did she become a friend, but she was my mentor. She oversaw my master's project, Dr. Pabst. And she knew, I guess a little back after I graduated from New Mexico State, I had 6 months between trying to figure out from when I graduated to what I was going to do next. And in that time, I decided I would try working for the legislature. I thought, let's see what this is about. There's going to be a 60-day session. There's 60 days of my time consumed. So let's see. So I had worked there for the session, and then of course started working at Highlands and working on my master's in Rio Rancho. And probably about maybe 2 months after I had graduated with my master's, Dr. Pabst comes in and she tells me, Janae, I just got an email from a committee that works with the legislature. There is not one Highlands graduate that works there. Dr. Bill Taylor is the new dean. He apparently used to work at this committee, and so he is really interested in getting a Highlands alum hired there. I think you need to apply. And I asked her, are you kicking me out? And she said, absolutely not. She's like, I think it's a great opportunity. And I applied and I got hired, and I worked for the legislature now for 15 years. I love it. And in the meantime, I've was able to connect with Julie and the alumni board when they were building back 3 years ago. And when I say it's like home, the board and everybody at the foundation has kind of become like family. So I'd have to say that Highlands to me is really just home and has opened doors for me that I never expected. And I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you.
That's awesome to me. Yeah. Well, so confession time. So I'm a graduate of UNM. However, I was born and raised in Vegas, spent all my time here. I'm glad Janae said that because I did about 70 credit hours at Highlands, probably about 2 or 2.5 years. One thing, it was funny. So at the end of my second year, I think I had about a 3.4. And I went through high school with a 4.0 or 3.98, something like that. And then I went to Highlands and I was at about a 3.4. And in my head, I was like, oh man, Adam, you need to focus. You know, what are you doing? You know, you're gonna fail. You know, all this stuff. And so that was actually a reason I went to UNM, saying refocus. And I remember going to UNM and thinking, this is a lot easier. It's very interesting, just the quality, you know, and something to be proud of, the quality that New Mexico Highlands produces. And so, you know, at that point, my dad said, you're staying there, you know, you're finishing, and, you know, that's kind of where we went. But, you know, it was something very interesting to me. A story about Highlands. So my first day, I had biology with Dr. Dick Green. So I don't know if anyone knows him here, maybe Shell and Janae, but I probably weighed 118 pounds soaking wet my freshman year of college. And I got into the biology class, and there was probably it was a bigger class for Highlands, probably about 40 to 50 students. And he called me down to the bottom and he said, Adam, take your shirt off. So I took my shirt off, and, you know, of course the football players were whistling, and, you know, he checked my vitals, he checked my heart, he checked my blood pressure, and just said it was really easy to do it on someone that was so skinny. So that was my first experience when I was at Highlands. When I actually came back here to work, and I saw him and talked to him, and I told him, you know, I haven't seen you in about 60 pounds. So 60 pounds. That's something I remember at Highlands. But, you know, growing up, I was always here for the summer programs. I remember being here when I don't know if anybody else remembers when the Dallas Cowboys came and played a basketball game here. That was super cool. Michael Irvin, you know, it was it's just stuff like that, experiences. You know, I grew up a block from Highlands, so I don't know if you can see them, but I have scars on my face from hitting a pine tree right there by Stu Clark building. You know, so Highlands is home. So it's been awesome to be here.
All right.
We think back, we had a reunion of the band a couple years ago with Ron Tillman and James Mays and George Winkler and a bunch of them. And we talked about, for the few years we were there, it was almost like a Camelot. It was just a magical time that, thank God, we came together, because it changed our lives forever. And I still say thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone being here today and sharing their stories. And is there anybody else that wants to say something or provide some discussion and stories?
I'm just thinking, Adam, that you probably could file a retroactive lawsuit against
So I just started in advancement now, right? My previous position for the last 4 years has been purchasing, central receiving, the post office, dabbling in travel and risk management. And so it'll just come back to me. No claims, thanks.
Julie, tell us a little bit about your story. We're so thankful to have you there.
Oh, well, I'm thankful to be here, but I didn't graduate from Highlands.
I know.
Although I'm taking classes.
Right.
I've been taking art classes, and now I'm taking business classes and working on an MBA. So I came to Las Vegas in 92. I think I came to New Mexico in 86. I met my husband in college out at UC Davis in California, and he's a native Las Vegan. So we ended up here after our daughter was born, and he took over the management of his family's ranch, which was Salmon Ranch, and it was a cattle ranch, and then they raised raspberries, and it's been since sold to another family. And then he started a real estate business here, and so I've always been, well, when my kids were younger, a stay-at-home mom, but I also worked, you know, while they were little. You know, I did things at home. I was trained as a graphic designer from college. I had my degree in design, so I had a little business at home, and then that led to me designing some promotional material and signage for a new restaurant that was opening up. It was called Aranda's, and it was in the La Fonda? El Fidel Hotel. I was like, which city am I in? El Fidel Hotel. And the first day she opened, her pastry chef quit in a big like huff. And so I said, well, I know how to make desserts. I can do something, but I'd only ever made stuff at home. And so I started making desserts for that restaurant. And then that led to another career for me. And then I had a catering business and did designer wedding cakes for a number of years. And then I came to Highlands. I came as an administrative assistant in the alumni office because I had a couple friends that recommended me for the position. And I was kind of ready to do something a little more with a regular schedule. And that's, when I got here, I realized that, you know, I could help with the mission. And so I kind of jumped in with both feet and everything else.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
you made a difference.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My mom bought some raspberry plants from that farm, and they grew them up at Eagle Nest, and they're still growing around the house up there. Yeah, very good.
That's a good climate.
We really like them. Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a good week. You talk about regular schedule. You never work a regular schedule.
Yep. If we wouldn't have met, I taught him to go into education because he wanted to travel so much. And so I told him he could travel all summer. So whenever we were going to school there, he liked it in Las Vegas so much that we went to school all summer so we could graduate early.
I don't want to go home.
No, not tell him Gordon. And now we travel all over the world on our cruises, and he does marathons everywhere, and he hikes mountains where we can find them. And so we just keep active. So that's good. It's really taught us a lot.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate everyone being here today, and you know, thank you for taking the time, Mr. and Mrs. Pabst. I really appreciate it. And you know, you know, I felt like I've learned so much this week. I've been in purchasing for 4 years, you know, stamping and filing and, you know, typing, and this week's actually just been, you know, a wealth of knowledge that I've just kind of inhaled. So
Nice.
and yeah, we appreciate it, and we hope everyone has a great weekend. And
You want to say thank you to the interpreters. They've been a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for
Great.
everybody.
you.
Y'all have a great week. It's been a wonderful homecoming, Julie.